So I looked online for books, and I found my first book was called Healing Epilepsy Naturally. I think it was Patricia Murphy. And I read that book cover to cover in a very short time. And it just confirmed that what we eat is very important for overall health. And at the back of the book, there was information on foundations. And there was a foundation called the Charlie Foundation. And I just thought, that's a cute name. I wonder if it's named after a little boy with epilepsy. So I went online, looked it up, and sure enough, it was. And there was um, they had already produced the movie First Do No Harm. And I thought, wow, this is very interesting. And so I called them up. And now they're so busy, I don't think you could do that today. But I called them up and left a message. And to my great surprise, I ran to the grocery store really quick and I thought, I'm going to be able to talk to somebody that just might be able to give me some insight into what diet therapy for seizures really is. To my great surprise, and that changed the rest of our future, I got a call back from Jim Abrams. And we had such a wonderful conversation. It was exactly what I needed at that time. And he confirmed that what I had just started with the gluten dairy free was a great start, and helped me understand that by removing the gluten and things that contain gluten, I was already reducing carbohydrates. And so I was like, okay, this makes sense. We're seeing progress. This is wonderful. He sent me a copy of the movie because it wasn't available on Amazon like it is now. Um, I watched the movie and I was just absolutely in tears. And again, it was confirmation that I was on the right path. I set out to look online for a different neurologist. And so I did go to another city and found a different neurologist at the other children's hospital. And she was very compassionate. And she said that my reasoning, my concerns about all of his current medications, because we had seen time of his improvement, that they in fact could be causing the additional seizures. And so she helped us wean down and off most of his medications. I was really fortunate, thankfully, to social media, that I had connected with many other parents that were really involved in research, really involved in diet therapy, and some of the best nutritionists that were involved in diet therapy. And there was something independent that they had started with a clinic. And so I got to be a part of that and work with some really amazing people. And they helped me understand the diet therapy. And I was also doing a lot of research. Thankfully, social media, YouTube, a lot of experts, neurologists, nutritionists, scientific researchers, they're putting their symposiums and conferences on YouTube. And I watched so many of them. And I'm so grateful that they do that, so that parents like myself can learn, and also they've published books. And I bought all of those to read, and audiobooks. And so I just really dove into educating myself and trying to connect with people in the field. And so thankfully I was a part of this initial study. It was a study with the low glycemic diet, and some really great nutritionists. Beth Zupikenya was a part of the study. And so they were so helpful in really helping us understand the method of diet therapy. So the low glycemic index treatment was a dietary therapy that was established by the neurology team at Boston, Mass Children's Hospital. And there was a study that was funded by the Angelman Syndrome Foundation back in 2012. And they took a small group of children with Angelman syndrome and implemented the diet. And it had an amazing success rate, over 90% success rate at reducing and stopping seizures. Now, that was back in 2012. And on our journey, my doctors, all of the doctors that we had seen, never once mentioned that study to me. I found that study. The low glycemic index treatment is a variation of a ketogenic diet. Now, the ratio is not as strict. It allows for a higher carbohydrate ratio, and it has a approved list of foods that are, I think it's under 50 grams. Now, the point of the diet is so that you're not spiking blood sugar, blood glucose. Instead, you're maintaining the a regulated blood sugar all day. Now, you do have higher fats. That's why it is a ketogenic diet therapy. It's 60% fat. But it's so much easier to do than a very strict, like 4-to-1 ketogenic or the classic ketogenic diet. We don't have to put the food on a scale and measure food in that way. We can just kind of eyeball it and have a generalized idea, portion size for our kids, which makes it super easy for families to start because it's not that strict. My son is 16 years old now, so we started the diet when he was like four or five, around that time. And initially it took a little bit of time for me to explain to friends and family that he was on a diet therapy for seizures and how it worked. A lot of people thought that I was just being very strict. A lot of people would roll their eyes about gluten. It really took time for people to see the transformation, that knew I was doing diet therapy, that said, you know what, you're onto something there. We're seeing the improvement. So whatever you're doing, we respect it. Because witnessing my youngest son's seizures, I felt could be traumatic for my oldest. I would ask my oldest to go to his room or go play or do something so that I could take care of Nathan. Or my husband would distract my oldest and remove him from the area so that I can take care of Nathan. But we made a point, my husband and I, we really made an effort to make sure that whenever Nathan had a seizure, that we always remained calm so that my oldest would not feel the anxiety, or so that we could try to protect him from the trauma that this might make him feel or carry with him through his life. And so we just wanted to make sure that we remained calm and assured him that we're going to do our best to take care of Nathan and stop the seizures and do everything we can. And also we would have conversations with him and let him know that in life, sometimes things happen and we don't understand why they happen, but we have to do our very best to treat the situation the best that we can and overcome it and continue with life. And whether it's a seizure or anything else in life, that it's a testament to who you are on dealing with these situations in the best way that you can. And so that was my initial response, was to try to remove my oldest son from the situation. And then as he got a little bit older, because he's only 4 years older than Nathan. And so as he got a little bit older and he started asking me questions, I remember one day in the car, he asked me, he said, "Mom, is Nathan special?" And I kind of got choked up at the question, and I thought, well, how observant is he? And I said, "Yes, buddy, he is." I said, what brings on that question? And he said, well, in my class this year, the teacher says that another little boy in his class is also special. He said, and I noticed that, he needs help doing some things, and I try to help him. And I just thought, he's growing up so much and he's learning, but I can hear the compassion in his voice and the curiosity. And so I decided to talk to him more about it. I figured that he was ready to talk more about Nathan and epilepsy. And so we did. My husband and I both started talking to him more about seizures and what we were doing. He knew that he was on medication. And so we really wanted to try to make it, we wanted to help him understand that this was our family unit and we're all in this together and we're going to help each other through everything. And even though we don't understand the seizures or when they're going to happen, that we're just going to always remain calm and try to work through the situation and help stop the seizures. And so another thing we also did for our oldest was we made time for him for special activities, just one-on-one. So our oldest and my husband and I. So we would go to the movies with just him. We would go to the theme parks with just him. And so we really tried to put effort and make sure that he knew that even though Nathan required a lot of time and energy from us as parents, that he was also our number one. And we would take time for him and do those extra activities, like going to dinner, just him, so that he could talk to us freely, and hopefully we would just have a relationship with him, and without, the in a new environment, a fun environment, and just letting him know that we're here for him and support him as well. Trust your intuition, your instincts, your love for your children, and you want to protect them, and you want the best for them health-wise. Because there's not a lot of guidance out there sometimes. You meet the doctors that are not experienced in diet therapy. They may not be able to support you, but then the opposite is true. Sometimes there's wonderful doctors that you really you appreciate them, they seem helpful, but they lack experience. Do not settle for a doctor that you like because they may seem that they care and are really trying to be helpful. You really need to seek the experienced doctors with diet therapy, experienced nutritionists with diet therapy, because you need that experience. There was challenges, there was seizure breakthroughs, and we would go long periods of time without seizure, and then when a seizure would happen, I would just break down crying and feeling like I was a failure. Like, what happened here? How could this happen? I thought I was doing good. What did I do bad? I thought. And thankfully, I have the support of my husband, who was always there for me and always reminded me that I was doing the best that I could, and that sometimes things happen, but we got to get back on track. We got to maybe uh, redefine things, look at what's happening, um, journal the food, journal the sleep patterns, journal all the possible triggers. Make sure you're tracking that data so that you know, but also so that you can communicate it to your medical team so that they can truly understand and have a really good idea of what's happening, so that they can make sure you're either on the right medication or maybe adjust the diet, because we've adjusted the diet several times for Nathan. I adjust the diet if he's sick. So it's been a challenging, winding journey. But that's life, right? For all of us, we're all trying to maneuver the best that we can. But I would say do not give up on diet. When you have things like acid reflux, when you have constipation issues, when you have GI issues, it is so important to address those issues through diet. Sometimes people get overwhelmed with thinking diet therapy, the ketogenic diet, have to measure my food. Please don't get overwhelmed by it. Just take it one day at a time. Take it one meal at a time, one snack at a time. If you mess up, it's okay. Just get right back on it.